Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. Today, of course, is Movie Tuesday. And it is a little bit light of a day. It's kind of been light the last couple of days on news and things of the sort. And usually, we cover what this past weekend has been film-wise and what's come out, how it's done, etc., etc. And we will cover that. We've talked a little bit about Mission Impossible over the last few days, of course. And to keep it a little more interesting than just delving all the way into that, I'll talk a little bit about Sound of Freedom. We can talk a little Insidious if we'd like. And then there's also a little article from Collider that had the 12 top trilogies of all time that I thought would be kind of fun to dive and delve through. And that's about it. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty straightforward, pretty simple little day. And we might come up with some questions tomorrow. We are preparing, of course, for Chamber Stevens to come in. And he is a playwright. He's an author. He is an acting coach. His wife is a studio executive and a writer herself. And I think it'll be a really good conversation between us and Sidetrack, of course, and with Chambers. And we can kind of wrap and rope all of our heads around what's going on in the world and what's going on in all of the Holly world and Holly weird right now. Howdy, Laura. How you doing? Yeah, well, that's what we're doing today. Let's jump into it. Got my giant water bottle ready for today. Oh, howdy, David. What is going on? We're just hanging out over yonder. There's not too much going on in the world. Well, there's a decent little bit, of course, but we're gonna cover the hecticness of that little bit of the world tomorrow. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward day over here. Let's jump in. Let's jump into it. So, we have this past weekend gotten a couple new movies. I did not end up watching the one that went to HBO Max. I didn't end up watching the Shudder little horror movie, but I did go see Mission Impossible, of course. I saw it again, so it was great. And I really like that film. I have not seen Sound of Freedom again, but I kind of want to. But I'm also really hesitant to go see Sound of Freedom again just because it's such a heavy freaking movie. It's really good, but like I was tearing up just at the concepts of some things. And you put yourself in the shoes of the character there and like you want to. It's an escape. You're trying to put yourself in the character's shoes and stuff like that. And oh my God, you want to do anything but that while you're in that film. It is a absolutely amazingly made film, amazingly done. I really don't understand why the Metacritic score is so low. Besides, this isn't like your typical Hollywood fanfare. I really couldn't gauge that as well as I would like to, I guess. But it's a really good film. I couldn't suggest that one anymore, and it's just hard. It's like Schindler's List in that way, where you really only want to go see it once. Once you've seen it, you're like, yeah, I've seen it. I don't necessarily need to go see it again. But it was really late when I went to see it, and I fell asleep for like 10, 12 minutes. It was literally like one scene. I checked my watch. I was like out for like less than 15 minutes. But just that alone made me makes me want to go back and check it out again just a little bit because I don't feel like I've completed the film. But I don't know if I want to go back and watch that movie and have that much just depth within me at the moment. That sounded bad. Have that much depth on the brain at the moment. Because that's not the type of depth where it's like a cool sci-fi concept where you're like, oh yeah, okay, well let's see where this would scientifically go. Oh no, it's a concept of depth that is not one that humans should ever deal with, or that we need to deal with it as it happens, of course, but it's not one that humans should ever delve into. I don't know, child pornography and child trafficking is just, yeah, it's a touchy subject. Yeah, it's a difficult subject, but it's hard to watch. Like, it's not, it's kind of necessary in a way to make you realize, like, oh shit, this is actually going on in the world. It's terrifying. Yes, but damn, it's just it is legitimately hard to watch. That I think Jim Caviezel. I think we talked about it a little bit last week in the out of theater reaction. I said it as well. Jim Caviezel did great. I really think he deserves all of the acclaim he's kind of getting from the public for playing this role. But what we're looking over is the child actors from this movie had to portray that they were child pornography and child trafficked, and they do so in a way that makes you completely and wholeheartedly believe that they were in this intense little thing. And oh my god, how good they do with it. These kids are going to be winning Oscars one day if they continue to act, because of just getting into those the brains of those type of characters at that young of an age. As that's got to put a little something on the developing brain, right? That can't be great, but maybe it matures you a little faster. Hopefully, it matures you in a good way, not a bad way, because I hope those kids don't get screwed up because of this movie. But holy hell, that's something that they can look back on for the rest of their lives and feel very accomplished for, because it's that good. I know I'm kind of just rambling about it, but Sound of Freedom is legitimately amazing. It's hard to watch, but it is legitimately amazing. My mom was asking me about it this morning and was like, "Oh, I keep hearing things about it. Should I go see it?" I was like, "Go see it, but be prepared, because the first act is really not about going to chase down and save a bunch of people. It's dealing with the emotional weight of the job and not being able to save kids whenever you're hunting down pedophiles, essentially. And it's hard. It's some rough topics, and you've gotta watch the actor get into the head of the people that he's interrogating. You have to get into the head of the pedophiles that he's trying to befriend to take down at the end of the day. And it's a lot to watch, but it's legitimately very good, and it sticks with you. It really does. But yeah, Sound of Freedom. Well, that's all for that. We can keep moving past it. I really had a good time with the movie, even though it's a lot. A good time might not be the right word, honestly, but it was a excellently made film. Excellent in every degree. And I've had a couple people tell me Insidious is not that great, which kind of makes me sad. I was hoping Insidious would be great. The creator looks dope. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But yeah, Insidious is a little funky. I've heard a couple of not so great things about it. Nothing bad though. Nothing like, oh, it's so bad or it's so boring. It's just like it doesn't. It's not a horror movie in a lot of ways, I've heard, and that's kind of keeping people from loving it. I'm assuming. I'm guessing that's why. So yeah, I'm iffy. I still haven't seen the fourth Insidious, so I haven't really had that jump or drive to go see this fifth one. I do love Patrick Wilson as an actor, though, so I do hope that his directing abilities were at least showcased here. That's like the main thing that makes me want to kind of go see it in any capacity. But as long as he was able to showcase his abilities going forward in a directing career, possibly, job accomplished, right? If not, of course, we've got Mission Impossible 7, which has anybody seen yet? Aaron, have you checked out? I know, David, it's hard for you to go check out, but Laura, do you check out by chance? Because Mission Impossible 7 is phenomenal. And, if you want to talk about it for a minute, we can talk about it. I know we have talked about it in the past fairly extensively. Insidious is still beating Indy. Yeah, it's beating Indy. And Sound of Freedom is beating Indy. Not on the weekends, I don't think, but on the weekdays it's beating Indy, which is wild. Something that I think it only had like a $18-20 million budget. It might have been a little less, might have been a little bit more. And then only a $5 million marketing budget, and it's making more than Indiana frickin' Jones. That's the landscape we're in. Lackluster box office. What's actually worth watching, of course, And Sound of Freedom seems like it's actually worth watching. Insidious is seemingly worth watching more so than Indiana Jones, it feels like. For a fifth outing, I guess people are enjoying Insidious's outing probably just as much, if not a little bit more, than Indiana Jones per capita, at least. And yeah, that's interesting. We will delve into that a lot tomorrow, I think, with Chambers on there. I've got like a little post ready to click and post on the community stream over here. and that'll be a link to like Chambers IMDb, Chambers Wikipedia page. It'll be a link to his plays and things like that, so you can kind of familiarize yourself with the guy before, you see him tomorrow. Just started watching Silo. Ooh, I need to get my Apple IDs situated or resubscribe or whatever I did to Apple. My subscription has lapsed, I guess, so I need to resubscribe with them. And the creator only cost $85 million. Yeah, I saw that. Which, if you can make movies that look like that for that type of price, film is not over yet. There's no way film is over yet. We still have many tricks up our sleeves in the film industry, and I think just going back to the basics is one of those tried and true ways of living out old Hollywood. Stick with it. You won't be sorry, Laura. With Mission Impossible? Oh, no, with Silo. That's where my brain fart. I didn't brain fart. I just ADD and keep moving. But yeah, Silo, I really want to watch Silo. I really want to watch Silo. Invasion, I think, is Apple as well. And then I need to watch C. Yeah, I really want to watch C. But yeah, I got to get that Apple account resubscribed because it's just, they've got such quality content on there. Not content, excuse me, quality projects. Content is on the YouTubes. Projects are on the big screen. And the streaming screen, of course. But yeah, I really look forward to that. There's a couple other shows that I would like to watch, and Silo C are at the top of those. Shrinking as well. All their S's. Their S's seem to be good. I still haven't seen Ted Lasso, though, or, what's Rob McElhenney's other TV series? Mythic Quest. I want to see those as well. So those are kind of like the 4, 5, 6 that I really want to jump at. And, of course, I got to watch Season 2, Episode 1 of Foundation! But thanks, Harris. I will look up your mentor if you give us a link to him. Yeah, right after this stream, I will finish putting a couple little links in there. And 10 minutes after this stream, there should be a community post in the notes area. And yeah, links, all kinds of stuff. Interesting guy, really funny guy. Little app there, so it'll be fun to get him on screen. I think he's got a camera. I know he has microphones. I got to make sure he has a camera, or I'm going to be driving to Hollywood tonight to give him one. Yeah, I got to figure that one out pretty quickly. But I have extra cameras, so that's not a biggie or big deal or anything. But yeah, so one thing I did want to do while we were all hanging, though, is there was a good little article that I agreed with for the most part. I think there might be one or two things where I was like, ooh, well, I would have moved this to over here, or something like that. But the 12 best movie trilogies of all time. Shall we see if we agree with them or not? Why not? Haven't seen Foundation yet either. First season of Foundation is stunning. I don't know a better word for it, just because I think we talked about it on Sidetrack the other day. It's so much freaking information to go through. Like, there's literally hundreds of years, thousands of years worth of information, and they have put an excellent way of bridging all that time, I guess, onto the screen by adding in a dynasty of clones, and the clones have 3 different versions at a time. So there's 3 clones living at a time. There's Brother Day, Brother Dawn, and Brother Dusk. And I want to say Brother Day is the I might get them all messed up, but I'm pretty sure Brother Day is the middle-aged one, played by Lee Pace. The older one is Brother Dawn, and the youngest is Brother Dusk. And it kind of allows you to see the same person and very similar people, essentially, almost the same person, grow up in a couple different ways. I think it's a really excellent way of bridging that time gap, just by allowing us to process it as viewers. And they did an excellent, really great job with all of that. And the series itself is stunning. It's just really well made. It's beautiful. It's really simple in a lot of the ways they did it, and I think it is stronger for its simplicities, and I really, really had a good time with it. I can't wait to actually get into season 2. I kind of should probably watch a little bit of season 1 over, but at the same time, I'm like, let's dive into it. They're gonna recap it for me anyway. But anyway, let's jump into. Sounds like Battlestar Galactica clones. Maybe I still need to watch Battlestar Galactica. Don't tell Jamie and Matt yet, but I may be 4 episodes into Firefly. I'm slowly catching up. I want to throw them off this Sunday and be like, surprise, motherfuckers. I have finished all of it, or at least like 2/3 of it, 3/4 of it, however far I get through it. You know what I mean. But let us jump forward into the 12 best trilogies of all time, according to Reddit. Third time's the charm. Hannah Sab wrote this, and Will Vickers, and it was a Collider article, of course. So, we don't need to read anything, really. It is just this. The Planet of the Apes trilogy. I absolutely adore the first 2. I have not seen the third one, although I love Woody Harrelson. I love everything about it, and I love the cast. Of course, frickin' Andy Serkis as Caesar is something that I could watch forever. Which me saying that I haven't seen this one kind of a little oxymoron, but I would watch him forever. I just need to get to the actual watching aspect of it, you know? The first 2 are just so well done. I really like the first one with James Franco. But yeah, what's that? Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. That's right. Love them all. Everyone that's watched them all has said it's really good. And Matt Reeves is an excellent filmmaker, so I really expect it to be good. The third one, do y'all know where it's streaming? If it's streaming at all anywhere? Planet of the Apes, is it a Warner Brothers Discovery IP? I'm trying to think. Anyway, the first 2 are phenomenal. I really like the first one for its like conceptualism, and the second one actually delving into the dawn of the Planet of the Apes. You know, it's really cool to watch, and I like it. I think better than the originals. I like the original the most, of course, but I'm pretty sure I like the Planet of the Apes trilogy better than, I guess, the original couple few, either or. Yeah, the first one is just Charlton Heston. Just come on, like he made something absolutely phenomenal, and it's something that will stand the test of time. Finish it, David Hewlett. Whoa! David Hewlett's in the first one? Really? I guess I wasn't really... David Hewlett wasn't on my radar at that time, but it would make sense to have him in the lab or something and be just like a callous person, callous human being, I guess. That'd be great. Now I kind of want to rewatch the whole thing. Finish it, Harris. It's great. Don't forget to watch the movie Serenity at the end. Great movie. Yes. I like that the ship is named Serenity and it's a Firefly class. He's the nasty neighbor. Really? Oh, is he the one that Caesar... Maybe? I really want to rewatch those now. I want to rewatch those first 2 just to get into the third one. Which... Yeah, I mean, I might as well do. I remember, David. I remember. Y'all ever seen South Park? Not South Park. South Park, yeah. Oh, my God. I don't know why I double guessed myself there, but South Park with the little member berries, they're my favorite little things. I remember. If you haven't, that's a great little couple minutes on YouTube. A little rabbit hole for you. But, yeah, no, that really makes me want to rewatch the entire thing. Disney Plus kind of sounds right. They're making... It's not a TV show. They're making a movie, a 4th movie with... Oh, what's her name that plays little Siri in The Witcher? There's a 4th Planet of the Apes coming. Yep. I can't remember her name. I know it. It is Henry Cavill and... Oh, okay. Well, I can't remember her name right now. Great actress, though. I really like the actress, and I think she'll do well with the 4th Planet of the Apes film. I kind of want to do some Woodra watches. It's something that I want to do as a Patreon exclusive for MCubed, and that might be one of the first series to watch entirely with the Wooger. And Woogers are awesome. If you don't know what they are, they're like haptic feedback vests or haptic feedback like belts in a way, and it really just intensifies what you're watching. Fetus Cat. Am I remembering the scene right, David, or am I remembering SGA? He did forget to feed his cat in SGA, right? But maybe that's like a little inside joke. It could be in both. I'm not positive, but it makes the fourth film coming out and everybody loving the third film as much as they do, and the first two being as well made and well directed as they are, makes me really want to watch the third one. And I love Woody Harrelson. I love the cast, and the war for the Planet of the Apes. Just I like war movies. That sounds cool. So do y'all think this fits in at the 12th spot? Y'all are going to have to let us know later on, of course. And I think just because I haven't seen the third movie, that's a pretty fitting spot for it. But yeah, let's keep on moving. This next one, I don't agree with at all. Number 11 for I agree with the number 1 and number 2 on this list, very much so. And you'll see why later, of course. But this should probably be, I think the third one is one of the best like Artour trilogies ever. But this should be number 4, I think. I think this should be 3rd or 4th on this list, where How to Train Your Dragon is just so well made. The first one. The second one is also very well made. I also have not seen the third one in How to Train Your Dragon, but I do own the trilogy on Vudu. So I need to get to that. I can do that any day of the week, and I just need to do it. I am so anal about chronology and like watching things chronologically that I haven't, because I kind of want to watch the TV show to bridge the gap between the movies and things of the sort. But this is technically, I believe, you can quote me on this because I'm like 99% sure. Of course, ratings go down over time, but I'm pretty positive this is the highest rated film trilogy in the history of film. And that's why I would rate it higher, because I think animated films should be given the respect they deserve. Yes, it's not necessarily for everybody, but that doesn't mean that medium isn't being used to create and tell an amazing story. And How to Train Your Dragon, the first two, I know for sure, and all I've heard from the third is good stuff, are just chock full of well-made everything. And the medium, I think, is perfect to tell a story to that scale. I'm intrigued that they're going to do the live action version, but it's gonna be hard, especially to the scale that they need to take to make it. And with we've talked about it recently a bunch, the mid-budget movie is kind of making a comeback. Like Aaron just said a couple minutes ago, The Creator, which is a huge, giant like sci-fi film that is kind of on par with Star Wars kind of projects, or even Rebel Moon projects, was only $85 million. Rebel Moon was like $200 million. So if you're able to make something that's just as good and looks just as good and maybe is just as high of quality as some of these other things for a better budget, for a better price, I don't know if this is going to... I hope... I guess what I'm trying to say, my hope is this doesn't end up being like the Transformers Rise of the Beast route, that it's not Fast and Furious X or 10, whatever the hell route, that it's not Indiana Jones 5 route. I don't think it's going to be... I think it's the same filmmakers, or at least a very similar team going at it and making sure that it's going to be good. So I have faith that it's going to be a well-made project. I just worry that it's going to be too high budgeted of a project for what it seemingly is going to be the next era of film after this strike. I think a new era of film will come into play. Kind of like, I forgot whose video I was watching the other day. Somebody compared this kind of time period to the mid-'60s, I believe, when Cleopatra was coming out and a couple other really big movies like that ended up being ginormous flops. It seems to be a very similar, what's the word I'm looking for? A very similar landscape currently in Hollywood to the way the landscape looked back in those days. So I do worry about over-budgeted things in the next 5, 6, 7 years. ending up being like we've seen this year, really, where Transformers, Fast and Furious, Indiana Jones, The Flash, Ant-Man, none of these things have made very much money, if they've made money at all. So, yeah, it's something to look forward to, but to look forward to cautiously. How to Train Your Dragon here, though, this trilogy itself, the animated trilogy, is phenomenal, and I agree that it needs to be in the top 12. I would personally, even though I haven't seen the third, would rank it higher on this list. The Oceans trilogy, which I don't know if I'd actually put in this list. There's a trilogy that I think that should be added to this list that is not in it, and I would bump this trilogy out to put that one on. I don't know why this is above Planet of the Apes and How to Train Your Dragon, honestly, because those are just literally world engulfing stories. And to a degree, the Oceans trilogy is a world engulfing story. And I really, really like the first two. But I don't know if I put the Oceans trilogy in top 12 trilogies ever. I really, really enjoy it. It's a great trilogy, especially the first two. And it's so much fun. It is just so much fun. And now there's Ocean's 8, which I think I enjoyed it more than your average Joe probably did. I love me some Sandy Bullock and Helena Bonham Carter and that entire cast. Cate Blanchett was great. Everybody there. But I wouldn't put it up here. Do y'all agree? Do you think Ocean's trilogy should be in like the top 12 top trilogies ever? It's just, I don't know. So far, the last three of here. And I'm back. Howdy, Aaron. Howdy. I just quoted you a minute ago for your $85 million creator comment and just talking about How to Train Your Dragon, how that trilogy was absolutely phenomenal, amazing. And the live action film, I'm scared for the budget of it because it feels like something that they might have to over budget to make truly work. And I don't know if high budget films are what we're going to be really jumping towards as an audience for the next 5, 7, 10 years. But anyway, that little recap there. What are you thinking? Ocean's trilogy, War and Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and How to Train Your Dragon. Do y'all like the way they have those in the last three? I would put Oceans. Dragon 2 made me cry. Dragon 2 is so good. So good. I still haven't seen the third one. I own it, but the second one is so good. The first one's really phenomenal as well, but the second one, I think, just ups the ante to a degree that most second films don't. Most sequels just don't. Anyway, we shall continue on. Spider-Man. That third film just hampers it so much for me. I do enjoy the third film on a very surface level, but it just doesn't have the story beats that the first two have. The first two are just phenomenal films, and the second one being one of the best superhero films ever still. Probably my second or third favorite Spider-Man film ever. Both the Spider-Verse films, I think, are my favorite Spider-Man movies. But no, Apes would be higher. I agree, David. I would put Apes higher, not even seeing the third one. Same with How to Train Your Dragon. I'd push Oceans back. I don't think they need to do a live action for Dragon. Me either. I don't dislike the idea. I really do like the idea, but I think animation was the best way to do something of that scale. You can't. How many dragons are you going to end up having in How to Train Your Dragon live action? A third, a fourth, a fifth, a tenth of how many dragons were in animation, because it's just so much cheaper to actually draw and animate dragons than it is to CGI and VFX like the full thing. I worry with it. But Spider-Man, I wouldn't even put at number 9. I love the first two, and Raimi is phenomenal, but I think consistency-wise, I'd put the Evil Dead trilogy over this one. I mean, just saying. I'm just saying. The third film, it hurts me. If it was just about Sandman, it would have been great. But it wasn't. It wasn't. Sorry, Topher Grace. You're a great actor, but why did they ever cast you as Eddie Brock? Anyways, we will continue on. Yeah, I don't think this is the right spot for Spider-Man either. I'd put it further back. So this is the first one where sorry, I was rereading your comment, Aaron. I don't think I've actually seen any of these. I think there's 2 trilogies I have not seen at all on here. Then that's the Three Colors trilogy, which I know I should have seen, and this other one I definitely should have seen as well, but I have not seen the Before trilogy, the Before Sunrise, Sunset, and whatever the other before is. Sunrise, sunset, before morning, before evening, before afternoon. I don't know. But I have yet to see any of those. You mean original Evil Dead? Well, of course. That's what I'm referring to, of course. Never seen it either. I've only ever heard good things, but they are very auteuristic, and I feel like I need to be in a good headspace to watch them. I need to be completely clear-minded and sit there and devote an entire day to watching the Three Colors trilogy. Because what is it? It's red, blue, and white. Okay. Oh, red, white, and blue. I should have watched it on July 10th and thrown some people off or something. July 10th. Oh my God, July 4th. You see where my holidays are at. I'm thinking more 7/10, the stoner holidays, than I am the patriotism, nationalism holidays. Oopsie daisies. I like my greeneries. But Three Colors, red, blue, white, or blue, white, red, I need to devote the time for. I've never heard anything bad about them. Like, I don't think I've heard anybody ever say a bad thing about any of them. So I can't disagree or agree with their kind of spot in there. I'd have to say that seems like a good spot for it in this list. Number 8. I'll keep it there. Love Evil Dead, like the first updated one. Still need to see Rise. Same here. I have not seen Rise of the Evil Dead, which I need to so bad. It looks so good. I haven't heard anything but great things. I really do like the first updated one as well. I had a really good time with it. But Back to the Future, we go next. And this is one that I have seen, of course, all 3 in. And I think the 7 spot's great. I don't like the third Back to the Future as much as I guess everybody. I don't know if everybody loves it. It's the iffy of the 3. You know, it's not iffy really, but it's the iffiest or iffier of the 3. And the first 2 are great. The first one, of course, is one of the best films ever. I have Back to the Future 2 literally on my water bottle right here, though. Back to the Future Part 2, right above Mando and Grogu. Actually, that's just Mando shooting somebody. It is right above Grogu, though. There it is. I got Grogu, Mando, and then Back to the Future over here. Got a little Pulp Fiction over there, you know. What else? I got some Shining. While I'm showing you my water bottle with my movie stuff. I know I have something else, right? Oh, I got Rick and Morty on here. Oh, that's right. I have Leon the Professional up top, and then Rick and Morty down there. And yeah, I think that's all the movie references I got on this thing. If I have more or find more stickers, I shall put them on. For me, 3 better than 2. See, yeah, I know a lot of people say that, but I don't know. Love Tarantino. I do love Tarantino. Yeah, that could be. I understand why people like 3 better than 2. I guess I just have a soft spot for the second one. I don't know. Biff is always great. Biff cracks me up. But yeah, I think this is kind of a perfect spot for this in this top 12 trilogy list. I think this and the Colors trilogy are probably right where they need to be. And next up, the Dollars trilogy, another one that I have seen, of course. Just thinking about it makes me want to go sit down and watch a bunch of Westerns. Oh, speaking of Westerns, real quick, Matt is doing a bunch of great things for MCubed over here. Of course, he's doing the intros for the channel that y'all have seen. I love the new intros. But the intros apparently have copyright music, which sucks, you know. We download non-copyright music, and then it ends up being copywritten anyway. So I found a cool little, I was just writing and stuff the other day, and I put on little background music, and there was a little, Western ambiance or something like that. And I looked at it, and it said, used for videos, movies, projects, etc. And I was like, ooh, did I just stumble upon a copyright free? Not stream. I guess it may have been streamed at one point, but hour and a half of music? I did. And I think we're going to make our intros a little Western themed, which is fun. Not Western themed, of course. They're going to be a little ganja themed, green themed as always, but they're going to be a little more Western oriented music wise. So, first of all, we don't get copyright struck. We're not getting copyright struck, but we just get copyright noticed, of course. And then I mute the song afterwards, so on and so forth. But this next week, hopefully, we will be full of all new intros, and they will have great, cool music to play with them. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. So, back to the Western stuff, though. While my brain's on the Western stuff, I mean, a fistful of dollars is amazing. A few dollars more is also really good. But The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly may be one of the best things ever. Stream Beats by Harris Heller is dope. Oh, I was like, I don't know where I thought you were making a joke at first, and then I was like Helen Keller because I saw the Heller part, and then Harris Heller. I was like, I don't know. It took me a second. I'm here though. I don't know what that is, but Stream Beats sounds really cool, and obviously Stream Beats would be copyright free, I assume. But yeah, that sounds pretty damn cool. I love this trilogy though. I was raised on this trilogy. I think I don't go back to it as often as I should, but it is something that I think I watch every 3, 4, 5 years. And if I had to pick a favorite, A Fistful of Dollars comes close, comes very close. But The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is just, you can't beat The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in so many ways. It's one of the best Westerns ever, particularly one of the best spaghetti Westerns, of course. And Sergio Leone just, damn, man. Damn. Oh, genius filmmaker. Genius filmmaker. Clint Eastwood, once again. Damn, man. Damn. Just genius actor. He's able to, I think Clint Eastwood does what Harrison Ford does in a lot of ways, or maybe Harrison Ford does what Clint Eastwood does in a lot of ways, where he can be a very stoic and staunch and kind of grumpy looking kind of guy, but convey so much emotion with or just like a twitch of the face or movement of the eye.
At California Closets, we believe every space deserves a custom solution.
From the consultation to the final installation, every detail was buttoned up
What
and
the
very
hell is going
professional.
on?
That's what we call practical magic. Request a free design consultation.
What? It said it was muted though. I'm so confused. Skip ad, and then I'm just pressing pause on that. I thought my computer had been possessed for a second. Wow, that threw me off. Anyway, Dollars Trilogy, amazing. I don't remember exactly where I was, but damn, is it good? Damn, is it good? Yeah, I was raised on it. I adore it. Oh, that's what I was saying. Harrison Ford and Clint Eastwood. They're very similar in their acting styles, I think, and I really admire their ability to convey so much with so little. It feels innately human in so many ways, and it's exactly what someone who wants to direct and stuff down the road, and someone who does act, really wants to see more people get across. I feel like I'm not trying to compare myself to either one of those at all. I'm very emotive with my face, so when I do act, I can convey that very well. But I'm also a silly, optimistic, happy bastard just running around being myself most of the time. So that part loses like the grit and the you know. I never come in with any grit or I can always get into it if I need to, but you know, those two guys live with stoicism just plastered on them, you know. I am the most stoic person. I think very stoically, I guess. I don't know if that's the right terminology. I think very logically, pragmatically, and stuff like that. But with a heavy dose of creativity and optimism, and yeah, I don't feel like I come across like either one of those people. Is what I'm saying. But I can emote. And my goal is to emote as well as they emote one day, eventually. You know, something of the sort. But let's keep going. I absolutely adore Clint Eastwood and just about every project he's ever done. I think my favorite Western movie ever is either Jeremiah Johnson or Outlaw Josie Wales. One of the two, because I almost said Outlaw Josie Wales just like that. But I love Jeremiah Johnson, and Robert Redford is so damn good as Jeremiah Johnson. But I think if I'm speaking truly Western, I would probably say Outlaw Josie Wales is my favorite Western film. But Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, if I can get that frickin' sentence out, is way up there. It's either third, fourth, fifth, somewhere up there. Because High Plains Drifter is so damn good. I love High Plains Drifter. I was thinking two films that come up into my top 5 or 6. I really love the new True Grit, and I really love the old True Grit. And I almost don't separate them. I kind of say it depends on the day. You ask me which one I prefer, but I think they're both very well made. A little Rooster Cogburn any day of the week makes me happy. And yeah, we could do a Western stream. We might have to do a Western stream, especially with these little Western oriented intros that we are getting. Y'all down for some Western stuff? I could do some Western stuff. Do a little like Western ticket or skip it like thread of things over time. I don't know. You're giving me some ideas, but I just love Western stuff. Anyway, let's keep moving. I'm a Texan. What do you expect, y'all? Dollars trilogy, the Before trilogy as well. Before we do that, I was sorry. I chuckle at my own puns, especially when they're accidental. Before we get to the Before trilogy, I think before I would have put the Oceans trilogy on here, even the Spider-Man trilogy, honestly, I think I would have put the Dirty Harrys on here. Dirty Harrys are great. Yeah, I don't know why that's missing, but anyway, Before trilogy. Let me. What was the other one? Before Midnight. There we go. Before Sunrise, Sunset, and Midnight. I was saying afternoon, evening, whatever the hell, morning. Yeah, this is also a trilogy that I have not watched, but I have not heard anything bad about it ever. I've never heard one bad word about anything before. And, you know, it's got Richard Linklater behind it, and he's an amazing director. Yeah, Richard Linklater. I saw directed by right there, and I was like, oh, I better have said the right name. But yeah, Richard Linklater, and then Ethan Hawke is in there, and I forget her name. Is it Julie Delpy? Is it Julie Delpy, or am I crazy? Julie Delpy. Okay. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I literally skim over like one line and then don't read everything else, and then I try to talk about everything else 20 seconds later. Hoopsie daisy. But yeah, I think it's a phenomenal cast. Richard Linklater, we talked about on Sidetrack the other day, being like one of the only people that is consistently just changing the game with films all the time. Like an AI is not writing Boyhood. An AI is not writing Scanners Darkly at all. Like, and then the Before trilogy, good luck with AI writing something like that. Of course, now they could do it all because they have something to go off of, but they're not going to create something that original, that human, you might even say. And yeah, Before trilogy is another one that I really want to watch. I just haven't had the sit down to do so, I guess, because I've always had the time to do it. I just haven't set myself down. But the Colors trilogy and the Before trilogy, maybe I should do a weekend where I watch all in one day and all in the next day. I could do a couple of ticket or skip its and put them out over the next week or something like that. And I could also, Before trilogy was Ethan Hawke. Never saw them, but heard they were okay. Yeah, Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy, and then Richard Linklater. I know it's got a couple other actors that are in there and stuff, but those are the three big names I think that always are attached to the Before trilogy. Yeah, I can't believe it was 95, 2004, and 2013 for them too. Because if I'm not mistaken, Boyhood was 2012, which means he filmed that over 12 years from 2000 to 2012. And by the time he was done with it, he decided to make the next Before trilogy. And right after he started making it, he was like, you know what, let me write the second Before movie, which is hilarious. More than a trilogy with Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer, Sudden Impact, and The Deadpool. Yeah, but the first three, you could count that as a trilogy, right? Because I would totally count that. Would you put those first three over Oceans 11, 12, 13, right? I had to think about that because Oceans technically has Oceans 8 too. So is it more than a trilogy too? And now that Spider-Man's part of Spider-Man No Way Home, like Tobey's Spider-Man, that could technically be his fourth movie. What out of those three, would you replace or rearrange those two, Spider-Man or the Oceans trilogy, with Dirty Harry, the first three at least, as a trilogy? Because you know my answer already. Hell yes. But yeah, no, before trilogy, I've never heard anything but great things, and I really do want to sit down and watch those as well. I'll plan something out. I think that would be kind of fun. Do like a week of before and then a week of color. That'd be fun. My three sons. Huh? It's just me right now. And you only have one son, and that's me. So I don't get it. But thank you for popping in, Mom. Oh, Madre. Let's keep moving, though. Dark Knight trilogy. Of course, I've seen all three of these. And coming in at the fourth spot, I think, is the perfect place. Because I think I would be in no, that's cheating. Otherwise, I would have 3 Indiana Jones and the first 2 Mummy films. I would put the first 3 Indiana Jones in this list, too. It's not in this list, but I would put it in here over Spider-Man. I would put it in here over Oceans. I might even put it in here over the Planet of the Apes trilogy. Honestly, if I would push Spider-Man trilogy out and replace it with the Indiana Jones original trilogy, and then I'd probably put if I could put the Dirty Harry trilogy in here, I would take the Oceans out and put Dirty Harry in there. Would that make sense? Would you agree, David? Maybe. Posiblemente, huh? But yeah. I do think The Dark Knight deserves the fourth spot. All 3 films are great films. The first and the third are not as good as the middle, of course, which is a little iffy. That's not usually what you see. Usually that second film is the most lackluster of a trilogy, and the bookmarks are your big ones. I think I would be in the minority here, where I actually prefer Dark Knight Rises over Batman Begins. I really enjoy Batman Begins. I think it's a great starting point for all of this. But I thought you said the Thor trilogy earlier, and I was, nope. I do like the first Thor a lot. I don't like the second Thor very much. I do like it more than the fourth one, but I love the third one. But anyway, Dark Knight. Batman Begins just doesn't do it for me all the time. I have to be really in the mood to watch it, I think. And yeah, it's not necessarily something that I jump to watch. If Dark Knight Rises is on TV, I kind of would sit down and watch it over Batman Begins a lot of the time, I think. And I think Batman Begins probably does concepts better, but Dark Knight Rises is more of an entertaining film, if that makes sense. But it also does some good concepts with Bane and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Yes, that is my mom. That is old Nancy, fancy Nancy herself. I don't know what she was saying with 3 sons though. That threw me off. I had to think about it. But it's not a trilogy then. If you can cherry pick any 3 films, no matter how many films are in the franchise, for me it just has to be 3 films and that's it. I agree. But also, a lot of these things were just making so much money that they decided to make a 4th movie. They decided to make a 5th movie. Like, the Indiana Jones is really a trilogy. You know, like the 4th and 5th. The 4th one happened 2 decades after the 3rd one. It was more like, okay, well, now we can make some cash. 5th movie happened a decade after the 4th one. Like a decade and a half after the 4th one, actually. You know, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I think I do agree with you for the most part, but not whenever it's just like, not when the remainders feel like cash grabs. So I guess the Dirty Harry wouldn't necessarily fit that still. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's difficult. Sitcoms. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, let us move on to the third place, the Godfather trilogy. And I actually think this sits. This is where I was hesitant. I would put How to Train Your Dragon either above this or between this and The Dark Knight. And I don't know which one it would actually be. I think it would be one of those things that kind of depends on the day. You ask me, my opinion would probably change a little bit. Laura says number one should be Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. But Godfather trilogy, I do adore. The third one, of course, is by far the weakest, but it's still by far a better film than your typical fare, you know. My B. So if that's the case, you could pick any 3 of 7 Rocky films. Well, okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the first 3, like that would be a trilogy. Like, okay, think about Star Wars, like OG trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy. That's kind of what I'm thinking, like brain wise. Like I would for Thor, just talking about Thor, I would say the first 3 are a trilogy among themselves, and 4th, 5th, and 6th, if we ever get them, would be the second trilogy. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's what the technical term for a group of 6 would be, like a sectology. Sectology would be 7, or septology would be 7. So sectology, I think, or sextology would be the 6th. I don't know. I don't know the terminology for that one. But yeah, that's kind of where my brain's at. It could be argued Star Wars was 3 separate trilogies. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at, because that's what they are. They were all made as trilogies. You know, and I would put Godfather, because I don't necessarily think the Godfather was going to be a trilogy ever. I think he had the first 2. Obviously, you see 1972, 1974, and then 1990 on there. That's a whole 16 years later, 18 years after the first one. I don't necessarily think he wrote it as a trilogy. End up being one. Great, you know. It almost fits in that same category as, like, was this really going to be a trilogy, or was that going to be a cash grab for that third one? I don't think it was a cash grab. Where I do think it might have been a little bit of a cash grab, but it was definitely more so for the story at hand. I just think he could have. I love Sofia Coppola, but I don't necessarily think she belonged in that movie. And there are a couple other little things that I would have rearranged, I guess. But, you know, hindsight's 2020, and I'm sure Francis Ford Coppola would have rearranged a couple things in hindsight as well. Anyway, shall we move past the top 3 and get into our final 2? What are the... Okay, real quick. Before we get here, what are y'all's guesses? Give me y'all's guesses. What are the top 2 trilogies in order? What do you have for the second highest one, and what do you have for the absolute highest one? Y'all have guesses? What are y'all thinking? What you thinking? Let me know down below. Anybody? Laura is guessing that the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy, of course, is number 1, which is an excellent guess. There are other trilogies in here. Oh, okay. The trilogy that, before we move on, I will say, I just for semantics sake, I will take Dirty Harry out because it's not truly a trilogy. I would think I would put the Captain America trilogy above that. Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War. Those 3 films are absolutely amazing. And I would put those before Spider-Man on there. I would put those before Oceans on there. And yeah, I think that's the only one I would take out. The only 2 I would take out, but I would put those forward. I would put Captain America forward for those. And then, hey, there we go. this is a pretty damn good guess, David. Pretty damn good guess. So okay, let's do it. Let's dive in. Let's go forward. Number 2 is the original Star Wars trilogy. Star Wars A New Hope, 1977. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, 1980. Star Wars The Return of the Jedi, 1983. Episodes 4, 5, 6, of course. And yeah, I think that is squarely where they belong. I think it is the perfect spot. Like I think I've said many times before, is Star Wars is my biggest love, but it wasn't my first love. We'll get to that in a minute, because I think this is kind of the perfect spot for it. People argue the original one, A New Hope, is a little over propped in spots, I guess, which I don't agree with. I think it's a perfect film in many ways, and that's why it did so damn well. Then Empire, of course, even is a more perfect film than that. It's one of the best films ever made still. And then the third film, Return of the Jedi, tends to be my favorite of the three, just because of the whole the continued of the storyline and everything, all the context that survives and surrounds everything. But there are people that are like, well, the fourth one or the sixth one, they don't do it for me all the time. So I get why it's not number 1. But it is right up next to it, and it deserves it. Where the number 1 definitely deserves their spot. Number 2, Star Wars The Original Trilogy, is like right next door. It's right. There's this, and then there's this right next to it. It's right there. But what do we know is number 1? Of course, that's my first love right there. That's my first film love right there. All of film. That my like I said, my first film memory is Smeagol killing Deagle and taking the ring in Return of the King. They're just simply brilliant. They're elegant. They're efficient with their material, even though they're 3+ hours long each. They are efficient with the material that they have in each one. Because if you really delve into those books and use every little bit of utilization that those books could be utilized for, you'd have 5-hour movies, 6-hour movies. You would have Lonesome Dove per book. And then you'd have a long freaking trilogy. And you already have a long one. So I think PJ, old Peter Jackson himself, did an excellent job of putting this together, making the books come to life in a way that just no one ever expected to be able to happen. No one thought it was going to do super duper well. Of course, I was being born around this time and just, toddlering. I was a 1999 baby, so I was 2 by the first one. And I of course, I don't remember all that back then. I don't remember the landscape of things, but it wasn't like a big old thing where people thought this was going to be a huge hit success. You shall not pass. Next time, chuck yourself in and rid us of your stupidity. So many great quotes. And frickin' Ian McKellen. I love that Sean Connery was almost Gandalf. And you shall not pass would have been good as well. But Sir Ian McKellen, man, he just did so well with that. And to do Magneto almost simultaneous with Lord of the Rings, he's just perfect. And honestly, I think Sean Connery would have been maybe he wouldn't have been as endearing. He can be very endearing. Obviously, we've all seen Temple of the third Indiana Jones, Last Crusade. I knew I wasn't saying Temple of Doom right. I was like, that's not Temple of Doom. Last Crusade. We've all seen Last Crusade, and I think Sean Connery can be very endearing. And even in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is one of my biggest guilty pleasures, I actually really love that film. It's not perfect, sure, but I really love The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think Sean Connery can be very endearing, but typically he's that he brings in some gravitas and some grit and stuff like that. Where Sir Ian McKellen, man, a bit He's his orientation sexually probably makes it where he is a little more endearing to each individual more so than I love Sean Connery, but you know, he could be a little crass at times, and he literally was talking about slapping women on interviews, like live interviews with other people. You're making me feel so old. You're not old. We're all young at heart. This is just our first step in life, all of us, you know? I don't know. But anyway, I think Ian McKellen, just as a human being, fits that role because he brings such sweetness and tenderness to the role of Gandalf that Sean Connery, I think, could have achieved. But I think Ian McKellen gets to easier. And I think you really get to see Ian McKellen just being happy. And of course, you see him in some not so happy moments, and those are amazing acting moments on his part. But when he can just be Gandalf the Grey, especially, and just enjoy a little time, if Ian McKellen as Gandalf bringing in those fireworks at the beginning sets the stage for the entire trilogy and what you expect from Gandalf, particularly, and how Ian and Viggo Mortensen didn't win an Oscar, I shall never forgive. Hey, I was like I said, I was a toddler at that time, and I would have gotten to the picket fences and been fighting for him. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. I think Viggo Mortensen deserves 40 Oscars. Not really. He deserves 2 or 3 though, for damn sure. For what he did in that's the thing. I would give Ian McKellen a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Fellowship of the Ring. I don't think Viggo would count as the main character because I think Frodo would probably have more screen time at the end of the day. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive, but I would think, just guesstimating, I would think that Viggo doesn't have as much time as Elijah Wood did. So he would technically be a supporting actor. I would have put him in supporting actor category and probably would have given him a win for Return of the King. Undoubtedly. Just perfect in that. And Two Towers, that's a whole different thing. Honestly, what is the guy that plays King it's not Thorne, it's not Thranduil, it's not is it no, because Éomer and Éoden end up getting married. What is King? I don't remember the king from the Two Towers, the king of the Rohirrim and of Rohan. I feel like he could have gotten the Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination. Maybe not win, but at least nomination for that second film because he did so well in there. And Ian McKellen's voice is perfect. Always. And that's what I'm trying to say. I kind of bludgeoned how well I said it, but the ability for him to bring tenderness to that time period, first of all, to bring that type of tenderness to beings that are literally halflings. Theoden! Thank you. That would have pissed me off all day. I would have been walking around my backyard not Googling and wanting to Google that all day. I would have been just pacing, pissed off. But King Theoden, whose daughter was Éomer, who ended up marrying now it's not Éoden, huh? Bernard Hill, that's the guy's name. Is it what is God. Carl Urban, Lord of the Rings. What was his character? Is it Éoden? Éomer. Oh, that's what I'm messing up. Now I'm with you. It wasn't Éomer and Éoden. It's Theoden is the dad. Eomer is Carl Urban's character that marries Theoden's daughter, Eowyn. Eowyn. Now I'm second guessing myself real quick again. Eowyn, right? Eomer and Eowyn, and then Theoden's dad. Okay, yeah. That's it. I'm about to go crazy real quick. I can't go forgetting my first love of films, But Bernard Hill, where I would have given the Oscar if I had the opportunity to Viggo for Best Supporting Actor for Return of the King, I probably would have Oscar nominated both Bernard Hill and probably Sir Ian McKellen again. Yeah, I would think so. The guy that plays Denethor is great as well, and I really love the guy that plays Faramir. Oh, I should know his Wendell something, either Wendell something or something Wendell, and he's really great in a lot of things. He was one of the better parts of Iron Fist whenever that came out, if not the best part, honestly. I could gush about Lord of the Rings and Star Wars all day. Y'all got the Lord of the Rings gushing this time because it was number 1 and Star Wars was number 2. I can gush about Star Wars all day. But Lord of the Rings, it holds something special in me. And I haven't read the books in a long time, and I'm honestly kind of wanting to reread them in a way. They're just such excellent stories told so well. Also, I've said excellent so many times in the stream. I understand that. I keep, every time I say it, my brain's like, all right, Bill and Ted. But I'm losing my adjectives, my ability to adjective. I just love Lord of the Rings. I adore Lord of the Rings. Everything about it. They should have made new Oscar categories just so everybody in this cast could have had an Oscar. It's that perfect. It's that perfect. It makes me that much more sad about Rings of Power in a lot of ways. But I think Rings of Power it's very well made, and it is beautiful. And it just needs a whole new script. Not even actors necessarily. I like their cast. I really do. It just needs a whole new script. And it's not that I dislike the showrunners even. I feel sorry for them, this being their first thing ever, but they kind of, sealed their own coffin at that point with that. So it is what it is. But Rings of Power just end it. And I'm also kind of worried about New Line's new deal with Warner Brothers Discovery and whatever the new big Middle-earth company is that bought out Middle-earth Enterprises, the video game company / book company / whatever. Because they're going to be, they've already, of course, gone to New Line and Warner Brothers and said, hey, let's make a bunch of movies. And I love me a bunch of movies, and I love me a bunch of Lord of the Rings movies, but I am terrified of what they'll do. But if New Line's involved, Peter Jackson's involved, and they go back to New Zealand, I got hope. I've got hope. Not necessarily a lot of it. My typical happy, optimistic bastard self is a little lessened there, but still optimistic nonetheless. Just not nearly as optimistic as I would like to be for it. But yeah, I adore all of Lord of the Rings. I adore Star Wars. I adore most of those trilogies, honestly. I'm a big trilogy person. If there's something that I can bite into and then have a second course and a third course, I shall. I shall. So yeah, that I think that trilogy list was pretty good overall. Those first two, or the last two, the number 1 and number 2 on the list, and the number 3 on the list, I think were the most fitting. I would have pushed How to Train Your Dragon way far up that list. I think I would have pushed Spider-Man out for Indiana Jones, and I would have pushed. I would have pushed Spider-Man out for Indiana Jones, and I would have pushed the Ocean's trilogy out for talk about a brain fart. Captain America. That's what I'm can't think of. I would have pushed the Oceans trilogy out of that list for the Captain America trilogy. But yeah, that's just my own personal opinion. What do y'all think? Let me know down below. While I got you right here, let me do my spiel. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share to all your peoples wherever they are. The goal is to get 500 subscribers sooner than later, of course, and we would like to hit 50 likes on this one. So come on, help us reach those goals. And we do have Wooger affiliate links in the description and a Patreon down below. I really want to get that Patreon going soon. I have a bunch of ideas to do like exclusive Patreon stuff because I would like to do that as well as if we do get to our 500 subscribers eventually over here and we are able to do channel members. That would be nice, but I want to do different things for each of those and kind of really individualize it and make the experience better for y'all. What'd you say, David? Joseph Maul has left Rings of Power. He played Adar. See, I remember them reporting on that, and that kind of upsets me a little bit. It sucks, because I really do like Joseph Maul. I don't know him from much, but what I do know him from is from Rings of Power and from Game of Thrones. He played Uncle Benji Stark in Game of Thrones, and he was criminally underutilized. In Game of Thrones. And I just expected him to come back and show up any second in that season 8, and he never did. But he didn't get to do as much as I would have liked to see him do in Rings of Power season 1. I think he was possibly the best part of it, besides, I think, Durin and Elrond's relationship. Everything else was, there were decent bits of it. I do like, is it Poppy? Is it Poppy is the Harfoot? I think I like Poppy and the proto Gandalf or proto whoever it is going to be, but I think Adar was a good villain. I think he would have been a good foil for a bunch of Numenorians as well. Who did they replace him with? While we're here, I remember they replaced him already with somebody. Who replaced? Who is playing Adar now? In season 2, Rings of Power. Sam Hazeldine. He's from The Sandman, The Last Duel, and Peaky Blinders. Okay. I haven't seen Peaky Blinders, but I have seen The Sandman and The Last Duel, and I really enjoyed both of those. Oh, shit. I keep copying the wrong thing instead of pasting. Because I don't have this guy's name. I don't have a face to the name off the top of my head, you know? But let's copy, and I got to press paste this time. My mouse is still being all funky on me. So I have... Oh, come on. Paste. There we go. Like 8th time the frickin' charm. Apparently I don't know how to use a D-pad on a keyboard anymore. But Sam Hazeldine. Oh, yeah. How? He's great in Sandman, and he's great in the Last Duel. I recognize him, I guess. This is Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I recognize that look and that face and everything. He almost looks like Wes Bentley in some of these pictures. Like that picture and that picture really make me think of Wes Bentley. That one as well. That's just he's not a bad match. He's not a bad match. I acting wise, I think that'll be fine. But that's just to play the same character as Joseph Maul played a year and a half ago. How similar can he look? I understand the face is scarred and stuff like that, but he looks entirely different than the Adar we already have. Or Adar, or Adar. I don't remember how to pronounce it. It's a little more elvish. It's probably Adar or something like that, you know? I don't dislike the casting at all. I have nothing against the casting. I just... it doesn't look anything like the first actor, you know? He's probably got the right color hair, and that's about it. They're both skinny white dudes with dark hair. Great, but like they don't look that similar. Very different facial structures as well. I'm interested. Control V. What's Control V? I'm kind of scared to do that. What is Control V? I'm not all tech savvy, you know. I need the explanations every now and then. Control V. That just sounds like some The Boys something. It sounds like some Vought juice or something. What the hell is it called? Serum V or I can't even remember off the top of my head. It's Serum V. V juice. I'm gonna go with V juice. I know that's not it. It just sounds kind of funny. But yeah, I guess that's kind of all I've got for today. The second I end this stream, I'm going to go click some links and put all the stuff for Chambers stuff up. And yeah, y'all look into him. See if you want to talk anything specific about his past. Ask him questions about the things he's written, about the projects he's been in, the projects maybe his wife has done, anything. He's open and great at answering questions. So I think it'll be a good stream. Of course, we will start it off by talking about the strike and strike stuff. But we'll, of course, delve into it a little bit later and have some fun. Cover a little bit of news. I think I don't think I'm going to let myself write down more than 4 or 5 topics for tomorrow's news so we can really delve into Chambers and discuss the stuff at hand with the strike and stuff and really get you an insight within a true Hollywood person's mindset. And because I might live out here. I might have been out here for 3 or 4 years, but you hear to my voice, first of all, I ain't Hollywood. I ain't from Hollywood, and if I have the money, I'll probably always have a place out here forevermore, but I'm back in Texas by 2030. So that's my goal, of course. If you can find that much news, that's the thing. There's not that much news. It's pretty damn light. I already have 1 or 2 things, so I might only have to find 2 or 3 more. But yeah, I think it'll be a good day. I think it'll be a really good conversation to have, and I will put something in the community notes to link all of his little links where y'all can check. I know he's got a good Wikipedia page to look at. He's got an IMDb page to look at. The Hollywood Fringe Festival page is a great one to look at because that shows the 6 plays he did last year, the 3 he did this year. One of the plays last year, Shitheads, is my play. And then The Ho Who Got a Bad Review and Track Down a John to Kick His Ass play is the one I produced this year. So check out those particularly, of course, and write a good review or something. I don't know if you can view it first. If you're able to view the YouTube stuff, then check it out and review. But if not, just see what people said. Look at the types of things he does. You'll get a good feel for him as an individual. And yeah, we'll have a bunch of good questions ready for him tomorrow. I'm gonna give Jamie and Matt some homework and say, all right, y'all need a couple questions prepared. But I don't think it's gonna be a very difficult thing. I think I'm in for an ass kicking tomorrow, just me and my Empire Studios. The Empire. No. I'm gonna stay objective. I'm going to, because if they go so far one direction, I will devil's advocate just naturally, you know. And yeah, I don't want to devil's advocate in a way that might lose me the opportunity for more jobs. But at the same time, I'm going to be objective. And I did see old John Campia put out a good video yesterday talking about how why do actors deserve money after they get paid to act when costume designers don't, and they spend 2, 3, 4 times the amount of time that an actor spends on a set. When the people that built the sets, they don't get paid residuals. The costumer, of course, the set decorator, the set designer, the stunt people, the stunt coordinator that has to get everybody in shape for all this time. Why don't all these people get residuals? And that was a very interesting point, and it is something that I'm going to ask tomorrow to Chambers, and might rile him up a little bit. but we'll see what happens from it. I'm intrigued and interested to see where we're going to go with that conversation, but I think it's going to be a great one nonetheless. I will be objective as possible. Makeup artist, yeah, exactly. Makeup artist, hairstylist, all these people, the same people that the directors have to get on board to the project months before they get actors on board, just so they can go through like with the hairstylist. All right, this is what we're going to do. I believe that's because they will always have jobs available. Yeah, but the same thing applies to actors. Like actors have way more jobs. Literally, within the amount of time a hairstylist or a makeup artist or a stunt coordinator or a set decorator or any of these different people, by the time they finish one job that they're not getting paid as well for actors to get paid as, an actor typically has the time to do 2 or 3, 4 or 5 jobs even, depending on the level of the job at hand. Way more jobs available for actors. Tens of thousands of more jobs available for actors. So it, I think, is a really... actors might have a dry spell, sure. But their job availability is literally tens of thousands fold larger than your other films. Because all these other films, they only need one set designer, maybe 2. One makeup artist, maybe 2. Or maybe a couple dozen. It depends on if you're having like a giant cattle call or something like that. So... I don't know. I thought that was a really good point that John Cambia brought up, and I will ask it to someone who is a little more enthralled and in tuned with the old Hollywood inner workings over here on the morrow. So yeah, come back tomorrow. I think we're gonna do a 10:30 on the dot for that. So just to make time, when it's just me and it's just the guys, it makes it a little bit more like here we go. But I think tomorrow 10:30 on the dot. So be prepared. If anything changes, of course, I will. Or actually a little community note in the tabs up there. But yeah, that's it. That's the job they signed up for. Don't like it, don't do it. Yeah, essentially. That's. I assume you're talking about actors in that. And exactly. It's difficult. And that's the thing. Where you may have a dry spell because all the things that you are submitting yourself to, you may have an agent or a manager that is always submitting you to things other than the things you're submitting to yourself. So actors do have a bit of an advantage in that. You had a love before Lord of the Rings, the Herbie movies. It wasn't before. The first memory I ever have of film is Lord of the Rings. But I love Herbie. I love me Herbie the Love Bug. I saw a green Herbie. I saw a green bug, a Volkswagen Bug the other day, and I just thought to myself, I was like, if I ever have a little extra dollar to spend, I might get a green Bug and call it old timey, of course, the OG like Herbie Love Bug looking thing. But instead of Herbie, I'd just say Herbie, which still the same thing. I'd spell it the same way, but Herbie was great. Even Lindsay Lohan Herbie was great. Herbie. Now I'm thinking about my green herb version of Herbie. I'm going to have one day, if I have just extra money just to spend and play around with and do fun things, I will have the stoner cousin to Herbie the Love Bug and call him Herbie the Herb Bug or Herbie the, I don't know, something like that. We'll figure it out, but it'll be great. Herbie the frickin' Love Bug. Herbie was great. It's so great. Heard interviews with Orange is the new black actress. Her last residual check was $22. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and that's something that we're going to be talking about. LOL, I remember the original Love Bug movie. They're so good. They're so good. We used to just sit down as a family and watch those things. I love them. The old ones, the new one, the newest one. Were there 1 or 2 with Lindsay Lohan? That was and the actor. Is it Dennis? Why can't I remember his name? Why can't I remember his freaking name? From The Alamo, from Cheaper by the Dozen, the second one, I think. Why can't I remember his name? His son is Huey in The Boys. And Huey's now I can't remember Huey's name either. What is, oh my God, I am completely brain farting, y'all. Oh, that's going to aggravate me. What? Quaid, Dennis Quaid, Jack Quaid. There we go. Oh, it just takes me a second. I get back with it. Jack Quaid is the oldest son of Dennis Quaid. And maybe the oldest son, pretty positive the oldest son. And then Dennis Quaid, it was Dennis Quaid and Lindsay Lohan in 1 or 2 Herbie Love Bugs, I think. And I do actually really enjoy those. I can see, of course, now that I'm a little older, why they didn't end up making more and more and more of them. But I do like that we got those. We got another generation of Herbie the Love Bug. Which, fun little factoid, Camp Longhorn, the camp that I grew up going to, just like little summer camp that, parents would send their kids off to, I'd go for 3 weeks because I wanted to get out of town for as long as I could and go live on the lake. I went as a camper for all 9 years you can go, and I think I was a counselor for another 4. I think 13 years was how long I spent there. And in my 12th and 13th year, the year before my final year, I was never his counselor, but I was the counselor of they're like the cabins are stacked, so you have like one cabin below and one cabin above, 3 counselors per cabin. Quaid, yeah, sorry, Laura, it took me a second. It was difficult. It took me a little longer than it should have, but we're back. Speaking of Quaid, though, his youngest son, maybe not youngest son, I think it's his youngest son, Thomas, was one of the campers, and I was his favorite counselor, which is pretty damn cool. He got all of his cabin to vote me best and favorite counselor that year, and it made me super happy. I had a whole bunch of people all voted me favorite counselor, and of course I won. Of course I did. And it might be a simple thing, but one of my big accomplishments in life, But yeah, Inner Space, one of my favorite Quaid roles. Also Doc Holliday. Yeah. I want to see more. I really do want to see more Dennis Quaid. He's really good. I hope that with Jack Quaid, his son, being just a larger star now with The Boys. And if you've never seen Creedence Clearwater Revival's Have You Ever Seen the Rain music video, it actually stars Jack Quaid and Aaron Moriarty. Huey and it's not Stargirl. Starlight. There we go. I was like, it's Star something from The Boys. It has your main actor and your main actress from The Boys. And Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Creedence Clearwater Revival's official music video that they finally released, I think 6-7 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. I might be a little off in that timeline there. But yeah, I hope with the resurgence of, or the surging of Jack Quaid into the stratosphere of film and TV, that Dennis Quaid's career will be revamped, reinvigorated, something of the sort. I'd like to see him. He's a really good actor, and he kind of gets some more mediocre roles. I did see him in something like 2 years ago, maybe. It was a boating movie, and he was kind of like the disgruntled white dude that moved down to Mexico and was like hosting a bunch of fishing tournaments, and then it ends up winning a bunch of money or trying to win a bunch of money for this foster home. And it was a really sweet, endearing movie. The movie itself wasn't necessarily great, but I think he did a really good job, and I think all the actors did a good job. The movie itself was fairly straightforward and simple, though. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of in recent memory that I've seen with Dennis Quaid. He's excellent. There's my Bill and Ted quote again. I do really enjoy Dennis Quaid as an actor, and I'd love to see his career have a bit of a comeback. Give us a Dennis Quaid assance. We got Brendan Renaissance. We've got a Brendan Fraser assance. Let's have a Quaid assance. Something like that. Void. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. I will have everything prepared for y'all tomorrow for the Chambers stream. So be prepared. It's going to be a good one. And I think I have one more link that I got to link in there, and then I'm typing up little words, and look in the community note, look in the tab for community pages on here, and like it, and let me know if there's any questions you have for the guy, and delve in and discover a little bit about him first. All that good stuff. Anyways, I appreciate it. Thank y'all all for being here. Y'all are the best. And it might be the intro. Wasn't Quaid coming out of someone tummy in Total Recall?